So we find out another prisoner who has previous for assault against women, who wasn't actually in jail for that, he was in jail for something else, has been released accidentally by our prison service. Now, there's so many facets to this story, right? There's one, the timing. It was released about a week ago, we found out today. Two, what happened in First Minister's questions today, where a Tory MP really went for Lammy by asking him a very closed question. Can they reassure us that there have been no more accidental releases?
Mr. Speaker, he's the Justice Secretary. He's responsible for the justice system. He needs to take responsibility, and I'm asking him a straight question. And I'm going to repeat it once more for the avoidance of doubts, because he didn't answer it twice. He's here to answer questions. Can he reassure the House that since Kabatu was released, no other asylum-seeking offender has been accidentally let out of prison? It's a clear question. Can he give an answer?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Get a grip, man. I know I'm the Justice Secretary. That's why I'm at the dispatch box, also as Deputy Prime Minister. We know that. I'm not going to pray in aid. Dame Anne Owens is a former Deputy Commissioner in London, head of the NCA. It is for her to get to the bottom of that work. Of course, we know that there have been spikes since 2021 under his watch. When did he come to this House and apologise?
The First Minister's questions was between 12 and 12:30. Lammy refused to give a direct answer to that. The news came out at 12:31. So I think what's happened there, the Tories have been tipped off that this story was about to break. They've tried to put him, if he lied in Parliament, he's finished, right? So they played it cute, and then as soon as he didn't do it, the story went out. The story would have been, you've lied, because here's the evidence. They just couldn't put the lied bit because he didn't fall into what looks like, to me, a trap. But would he have known? 100%. Of course he would, right? The whole Labour government would have known. But what's really strange about this is the timing. So I want to tell you about the guy that's free out in the streets, the timing, and what's happened at First Minister's questions today, because there's a lot in this story, okay? So first of all, the October 24th, this is when the Hadush Kabatu, the guy from the Epping Hotel who was to be deported, went missing, right? On October the 27th, David Lammy, the Justice Secretary, remember, vowed to increase checks on releases amid overcrowding crisis. That's the 27th of October. On the 29th of October, after these promises, an Algerian prisoner was freed by mistake from Wandsworth. No specific reason has been given, but they're tying it to systemic admin errors, right? Now that was October the 29th. On November the 4th, almost a week later, Met Police were notified and they started a manhunt. How mental is that? Now, then we have the story breaks. November the 5th. This is bonkers, right? Because one, why did it take so long? Why did the prison service wait for nearly a week? They've either not realised for a week or they've held on to it for a week. I don't know what's more scary or shows more incompetence, right? But for a week, they didn't inform the cops. So the cops get informed yesterday. And then today, the story breaks, right? And what's strange is, we've not been told the guy's name, we've not got a photograph of him, but there's this manhunt, and you would think that the police learnt yesterday, by now we would have known the name, and at least a description of him, so the public could be alert and maybe help the police, right? The guy could be staying in a boarding house, the guy could be anywhere, and the public could maybe help find him, right? So that's a bit bonkers. So who is he? Well, let me just get the bit that tells you about him. All we know so far is he's an Algerian prisoner and he is 24 years of age. He was serving time for trespass with intent to steal. So it was non-violent property offence, right? So that's what he was arrested for. However, he'd been previously convicted for unspecified X offences. No further details available in reports, as the case is too recent for court records to surface publicly, right? So this is bonkers, right? So he's got previous convictions for doing something quite bad. His current conviction was for trespass. And we decide that we're going to deport him. Why was he not deported? The first conviction. That makes no sense to me. You're convicted, go. And let's be straight here. S offence or trespass. What one's the biggest, risk to the public? Well, it's the first one. So why would you do that? Why would you have somebody convicted of a worse offence, not deport them, but then deport them the second one? Basically trespass with intent to steal. Right? Bad boy. But it's no threatening anybody. So that's a bit bonkers. And then on October the 29th, now this, again, just go back in time, this is what, a couple of days after the, what do you call him? The Ethiopian Eritrean guy, the Bell Epin Hotel guy, right? And we're still doing it. So that he was away, he got out, Hadish Kabatu, so beg your pardon, he got out the 24th of October by mistake. The Algerian was 5 days later on the 29th. Now, forgive me, but see if we cannot get our people in these organisations to be a wee bit alert, maybe to double check things, right? Days after this big case erupted, when are we ever going to expect them to get it right? You would think, if that was your job, if you were the Justice Minister, you were looking after a prison, the release of prisoners, all that stuff, any of that stuff, 5 days after the Epin Hotel asylum seeker get let go when he should be getting deported, don't you think you'd take a wee bit more time to consider what you're about to do before you say, cheery bye now, to a guy in prison clothes, get out of prison, right? You would maybe, see if you would normally double check it, you'd maybe triple check it. Would it have been maybe wise to say, right, don't let anybody out for a couple of days, we need to bolt this down? Because 2 days before they released him, the Justice Secretary, David Lammy, vowed increased checks on releases in overcrowding crisis. Is it me? Right? What sort of country are we? The other thing, I've seen some people post on Twitter that they don't believe this is mistakes, right? Now, it might not be, I don't know, right? I've not got any top secret information on this, but I can understand why people would suggest that. And the alternative is it's just genuine mistakes. That's pretty bonkers, absolute bonkers. 5 days after the whole Britain is up in arms because we've just tapped a guy out. Remember the first guy as well? Apparently there was a plumber or some tradesman was working on the site and he was outside watching this going on. And he said the guy hung about for about an hour and a half and kept going back in and going, what have I to go? And they see the train station, away up there, away you go. You've got a train into London, off you pop, right? That's what happened with the first guy. So you would think anybody in any contact, in the whole of Britain at that time would think, guy's form, I think I have to let him out. If we can't get it right 5 days after that big worldwide news event happened, when can we get it right? It is absolutely farcical. And I don't know, I'm kind of not prepared to right now accept that this was done on purpose, right? I just think it's, and I might be wrong. Listen, I'll accept if I'm wrong if that comes to light, right? But it just shows you how terrible a place we are. And all these things, right, this is bonkers because these mess ups, we do release prisoners, right? That's another story for another day. The ones that we've released that went on to, re-offend when we should just have deported them, right? There's cases of that as well. But our jails are full, right? which is why sometimes we need to consider letting people out. But it's statistically proven. This is not far-right, racist, Islamophobic, or any phobic, or any ism, right? This is just fact. There are demographics of people in the country who are pro rata, per capita ratio are more likely to go to jail. Therefore, bigger chance of somebody at that group than that group, right? And one of the smallest groups is actually British people, right? We'll make the biggest number up because like there's more of us, but statistically you're less likely to go to jail. There's loads of people from foreign countries that are infinitely more likely to go to jail. And a lot of them are coming here illegally. So see if we solve the illegal migrant problem, that'll help ease the problem we've got in our jails. That would then stop the problem of what do we do when we've got too many prisoners? Because you would have less of them, right? And that would then stop the problem where people are getting gate released by accident. Jury by now, off you pop. The whole thing's mental. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, put your comments below, hit the share button. If you have not already done so, or you think you have, please check that you're still subscribed to the channel. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Cheery bye now. Behind me is Glasgow Sheriff Court, one of Europe's busiest courts. And because of that fact, we'll see every week several members of the public and podcasters, etc., facing trials in here for a number of things. However, an increase in number are for posts on social media, videos on YouTube, etc., etc., etc. And for that reason and that reason alone, I believe it would make sense for everybody who does podcasts as a minimum to join the Free Speech Union, because they will help protect you when the law turns on you. That doesn't give you carte blanche to say what you want as a member, but it does give you the protection to help you when the law goes wrong. This is not now only something that should be considered by podcasters, because we are seeing more and more people each day arrested. Normal people who don't even see themselves as civilian journalists, arrested for posts on social media. So it makes sense to join the Free Speech Union, because we live in this country in 2025.